You tormented souls.
Sound effects in this podcast is brought to you by Festlian Studios, BattleBards.com, and Pro Sound, and some of them are made by the Dungeon Master himself. This show is R-rated, so everybody, be advised. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. My name is John and I am your host and Dungeon Master in this podcast. Welcome to Nordic D&D, the Ariana Saga. You have reached episode 11. Now if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I recommend you start with session 0 of season 1 to know everything about how we do this podcast, because it is a bit different. Anyway, in this episode, we're gonna follow back to Hunter, played by Martin Rajan, and Kettle, played by Bastian Mergenberg. Last session they were in Skyer, now they're gonna go back to Bliss after taking over the harbors. But before we get to that, let's take a little stop at Camp Lore. As you come to Camp Lore, a young elf has come a long way in search for his grandfather. The grandfather is known through all the lands to be the smartest elf alive, and for some time now, this young elf has been picking his brain to get enlightened about the affairs of Ariana. There they are, conversing. Grandfather, there's one thing I've been meaning to ask you. It's referring to kingdoms of Ariana. How many are there? Well, there are actually 7 kingdoms, boy. 7? Can you tell me about them? Sure, boy. Let's start with the kingdoms of the dwarves. The first kingdom you'll find in the island of Beltrock, north of the island of Morrow. And the other is in the westlands of Ariana, called Ironstone. The elves also have 2 kingdoms. Both are located in the west side of Ariana and the lands there. One is in the forest-covered lands of Selene. It is a larger kingdom. And the other is on the other side of the mountain spine in the lands of Lisna. The humans as well also have 3 kingdoms, one more than the dwarves and the elves. One is in the island of Morrow, and one is on the lands of Gadian, or as some call it, the land of God. The last is on the Arcanian island, given to the wizards and sorcerers. There is a human colony there as well, who recognize the island as a human kingdom, but it is given to the wizards and the sorcerers, and the kingdom of man is not forced so much there. But it also contains the cursed lands of Vilra, the place we talked about where the Necro-Vilra battle occurred. The place is so plagued with sickness and foul inheritance to those who can actually live there, but most things die. It is the very core of the hatred of the Vilra Inquisition. And welcome back from Camp Lore. If you like awesome sound effects, guys, be sure to check out our affiliate link down below to get to BattleBards.com. Do you want BattleBards to help you make your game come so much more alive? Like you're actually captured in a real orc camp. All of these sound effects are brought to you by BattleBards.com, and if you want sound effects like this, then go to our homepage at NordicDnD.podbean.com or our YouTube channel. Take the link to BattleBards.com. And it's time to go back to the main event, the Dungeons and Dragons game of the Ariana Saga. We're gonna follow Martin Rajan playing Hunter and Bastian Mögenberg playing Kettle. Last session they have closed the harbors of Skyer, they have convinced the people to join the slaveling rebellion, and have all traveled to Bliss. We are coming close to the point where we're going to venture into a new flashback, where we're going to learn about why the animosity between the Kingdom of Vash and our heroes even began. Stay tuned, people. Before we start, guys, I want to apologize for the quality of the recordings in some places when you hear me speak the Dungeon Master in this game. Luckily, you can hear Martin and Bastian good, but some places it's hard to hear me because the quality of the microphone seems to fall a bit off from where I'm sitting, and I apologize. In episode 8, we followed Kettle and Hunter as they locked down the harbors of Skyer and stopped King Vash's men from coming and gathering resources. They have convinced the people of Skyer to join the Freedom Rebellion. They have left their livelihood and have traveled all the way over to Bliss. Luckily, there were no encounters on the way, and everybody has come to Bliss safely.
We should probably consider gathering more resources now if we are going to sustain and feed people.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out a way to make money. And out of game speech, as far as I know, Crypt of Crystal, wasn't that the place where the money was?
That was the
According to Tom.
resource, yeah. There was a lot of gold in there.
Check.
It was recommended. It was actually Hadarai who recommended it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna have to go without him.
Yeah. We can drag his limp body.
I can put him in a bag of holding and we just have to pull him out every 10 minutes.
Let me remind you what the players are talking about. The elven monk Hadarai had befallen sick before heroes were to venture into Skyer. They found out he was carrying some kind of crystal, a soul catalyst. It had been sucking the life energy out of Hadarai, and his body could not stand anymore, and he fell into a coma. So far, Hadarai has not gained consciousness as of yet. So guys, when you are getting close to Bliss, and it's been a long journey from Skyer, you were greeted by a known elf called Vissa Highland. You remember him to be the guardian of the entrance of Bliss. A individual which Kedal knows very well.
Did we take some sort of rest while we were gone a couple of days, right?
Yeah, sure, you've been gone for days. It took you a long time to get to here, so of course you've been rested.
Yeah.
We rested on the way.
Yes, great. Yeah, Vissa Highland.
Yeah, he's just standing there greeting you as you come. And this time you didn't have to be so thoroughly checked, because he knew you, Kedal, of course, first of all, but now he has met Hunter and knows him intimately as well. And he reveals to you and tells you that all the people who were walking in front of you have now arrived to Bliss and waiting inside. And Thourgrim has called for you, and he wants to debrief and have a discussion about how your trip ventured.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as you are about to take your leave to go to Thourgrim, you hear a sound coming from somewhere on your body. And you find a letter in that magic bottle that you got from the dwarven sorcerer back in Rockway. Now, I don't remember who of you has the bottle.
I have it.
Okay, cool. So Hunter has the letter. And as you hear the sound, you look at your side and you see that there's a letter sticking out of the bottle.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna take the letter out and read it.
Okay, cool. The letter says as follows. Dear friends, Strongjaw sends his regards and is glad to hear of his new allies. And wants to give his thanks for the aid of getting the dwarves out of Rockway. You have earned his respect. If you are true to the call and really are freelings, what do you plan to do to help the halflings to become free and maybe help the dwarves win a war on human tyranny? Let our plans align. Signed, the All-Father, Strongjaw.
Then I assume we'll just write on this piece of paper and put it back in the bottle. They never really explained how it works.
Well, yeah.
But doesn't that seem...
It seems rational to do.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, then I flip the paper over and I start writing. And I write, hello. As we agreed with the other dwarves, we have gone to Bliss and started a little rebellion over here. We have already taken down 2 towns. We're gonna get some funds and mobilize an army on this side of the island, for hopefully distracting the king enough that you could make a proper invasion on the east side of Morrow.
Maybe the thing about if we see him or see his army increase over here, then we'll let them know, and that would be an opportune time to strike.
Yes, I write that. If we see his army over here, we will let you know, so you know that it will be a good time to strike. I'm not a good writer. Sincerely. Oh yeah, I shouldn't sign it, because if it gets intercepted.
Yeah, we should use code names.
Yeah. Big A. Then I roll it up and stick it back in the bottle, and hopefully it will disappear.
And as soon as you put the paper in the bottle, it disappears.
Perfect.
So yeah, right before you are to enter Thourgrim's tent, you are greeted by 2 elves, Berian and Yurathan, the 2 scouts who went with you to Skyer and scouted the area in front of you. They greet you and they're happy of your safe return and asks if you were followed by any way on the way here to Bliss.
Don't think so.
No problem. No problem.
As far as we know.
Right, perfect. Thourgrim's ready to see you now. He's right there in the tent. And as you are to enter the tent, he actually comes out to greet you.
Hunter, Kedal, welcome back to Bliss. I see your mission went well. Many of the people of Skyer have arrived. They're being settled in. Come, join me in my tent.
And Thourgrim escorts you into his tent. He points at a table set up for you guys and says,
Here, lads, let's sit down and have a drink. Now let's talk about your trip. There was a large Goliath with the crowd. Can you tell me a bit about him?
Not much per se. He seems cool. He helped us take care of the guards in Skyer. And he definitely seems like he's on our side.
So you're not sure?
Well,
I mean, can you ever be sure?
Well, if he's not on our side, it would be. I can't figure out a way that would be. Well, maybe he. The worst scenario here would be that he's spying or trying to infiltrate, but he's not, because if he were, then he wouldn't have agreed to overthrow, and especially not agreed to ambush a ship, because that would be contradictory to his own. Well, especially if he wanted to contact Ash, he wouldn't have a way of doing so, because contacting him would either be by way of ship or over land, and he sort of cut off one of those opportunities for himself. So I don't think he's going to spy on us or anything like that. He helped us in our endeavors, but as Hunter said, you can never be sure. So just keep an active eye on them, but please be kind, and also make sure that they get food and stuff.
They've already been given food and are eating as we speak.
Okay.
As you know, boys, I just want the people of Bliss to be safe. But I've been speaking with a halfling that came with you, named Eric. He spoke highly of Heinous and said he was to thank for his safety.
Oh, okay.
Eric also mentioned that he was the reason that Eric and the halflings were safe there, and even a dragonborn was safe from the Vilra Inquisition. So he does have a good name to him. I just want to ask you to be sure what your thoughts were.
Heinous seemed very legitimately interested in supporting the cause, but it's just to make sure, because just keep an eye on newcomers.
Yeah, you never know.
As you never know. But please also don't restrict them or detain them or anything, because they helped us, so they should just be able to live freely.
Agreed.
Thourgrim then frowns a little bit and gets this concerning look in his eyes.
Referring to your friend Hadurai, He's been slipping in and out of a coma, and has no strength right now. He'll need more rest before he will be able to help you.
Thourgrim then walks over to his chair and sits down. He puts on his glasses and looks at you, Hunter.
The Wizard Magi has come, like we spoke of earlier, Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken a look at Hadurai and has aided him with herbalism.
Okay.
But he said it's really important that he gets some rest until his system has completely absorbed the herbs. He'll stay the night. If you want him to take a look at your situation, Hunter.
What about the portal? Is that fixed?
No.
It's not fixed.
And that's a shame, because we need the funds more now than ever. But we're working hard on it.
Where should we go now, then?
Well, first things first. You guys need to rest after such a long journey, and we'll meet up the day after.
Sure. But where are... Just to... But what towns should we...
Well, there's the big town down in the southeast.
The heroes then walk over to Thourgrim's table, where he has his map lined out, searching it out, pointing to areas that we talked about earlier. Where to go. Campthran, the town.
Where is that?
What was that called?
Suddenly Thourgrim looks at him. Seems like they're ignoring his command to go and rest. He wants their attention. He coughs.
The town you're referring to is called Morrowtown West. That's where the general we spoke of is, and he's the biggest threat.
Hunter then just looks at Thourgrim, grins a little bit, ignoring his reaction, and says,
But we probably need a bigger army to take care of that. What about Desert Rock? Desert Rock End? What is that? Is that...
That is a desolate place. No one lives there.
Oh, okay.
But we still have the last harbor to the north in Camp Thran.
Thourgrim then points on his map to the north side of West Morrow.
There.
Okay.
King Vash ships the slaves that way, and it is there the soldiers come to shore and change stations on the guard towers overlooking the barren lands of Mid-Morrow and Morrowtown West.
Maybe that should be on his next target.
Last we spoke, that was part of the plan.
Okay.
To make it harder for him.
Yes. It'll be much more difficult for Vash to do anything over in West Morrow. Anyway, Hunter, when you're ready, the Magi will see you.
Okay. Yeah.
But I will leave you now. There's something I must do.
Then all of them get up and leave the tent. Thourgrim has gone. They agreed now to take a minute to rest after a long journey to Skyer. Kettle walks around the town of Bliss, reminding of his home, just taking it all in, a moment of peace. Hunter also walks around Bliss, just taking a look at the town in a way that he hadn't before. He didn't have time the last moment he was here. Then a messenger comes up to Hunter and says, Hunter, Thourgrim has asked for you. He wants to have an intimate talk with you before you are to meet the Magi. Meet him back in his tent.
Yeah.
Hunter then walks back over to Thourgrim's tent. He enters.
Come in, rest, and have a drink with me. Let's bond and build some trust. Now don't take this the wrong way, Hunter, but of all the races I know, tieflings are some of the ones least known to me. And rumors say that tieflings live for the gain of power, so I was very skeptical when you first arrived. But Kettle seems to trust you. And I must say, when you told me that you wanted to get rid of your curse instead of harvesting its power, I was relieved, for I know the dangers of lycanthropy. And I was about to ask you to leave Bliss to ensure the safety of our people. But Kettle assures me you and him have it under control and know how to handle it. And now you want to start a rebellion and become a freeling. I must say the rumors were very wrong about this tiefling, and you have earned my interest, so let's bond. Tell me, how did you come to know Hadurai? And how did you come to be a part of the king's court?
Well, you know, I lived in Angel's Bliss since I was a small child. I wasn't rich at all. I lived in the streets and I had to do what I had to do to survive. So I got in with some other kids and we started stealing foods and they taught me how to entertain people while we picked their pockets. Luckily my dad had trained me from a young age on how to be a skilled archer. So I would do trick shots on the streets, and while my comrades would pickpocket people. One day when I was entertaining on the streets, a guy named Taron saw my skill, and he was very fascinated by it. So he took me in, introduced me to the carnival, and I traveled with them for many years. In the carnival, I was known as the Horned Hunter. Obviously, I don't have horns in real life, but Taron made me a helmet to make me look even more demonic than I was. And I lived well off this for many years. So, but then at some point I felt like I had traveled enough with the carnival. I needed to see the world for myself. So I left, and I also left my stage name behind and just called myself Hunter. Well, after I've been traveling for a couple of years, I was actually on my way back to Angel's Bliss. And on the road I heard some fighting, and I thought, hey, I could be entertained right now. So I joined in, and I killed the people who seemed to be attacking the other people. There were 6 men against 2 elves. The 2 elves were doing somewhat good, but I thought, hey, I'll help them out. The fight didn't take that long, because I'm awesome. So, and the elves were very happy to see me. They introduced themselves as Hatterai, the monk, and Victor, a surprisingly buff barbarian elf. They thanked me a lot, like they were so grateful, and they said they were also on the way to Angel's Bliss, so I thought I'll join up. They told me about the whole royal invitation they had gotten, and I thought, that sounds cool. I could meet the king. So I joined in, and I showed them around Angel's Bliss, knowing it as well as I do. So walking around Angel's Bliss, my new friends instantly saw how famous I was around here, and I'm pretty sure they were quite impressed with me. They started telling me about how they were actually supposed to have another friend with them to see the king. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. How did he look like? And they luckily had a wanted poster with his face on it. So I changed my appearance as I can to look just like this guy called Sova. And then, hey, let's go see the king.
What was your goal in joining them, and risk sitting there as an imposter?
And I didn't really have a goal to do it. I was kind of bored, and I thought, hey, the king should have the honor of meeting Hunter as well.
And that's how you became a member of the king's court?
Well, yeah, kind of, that is. I mean, of course, there's a bit more to that story. Honestly, it did not take them that long to figure out that I was not someone. I mean, not that I'm not a smooth talker, and I can usually sound like anybody that I want, but I thought I'll just reveal myself so they know that they're actually talking to the Hunter. So that's how they found out. So, but the king obviously was happy that I was now a part of this group, and he actually had a mission for them. So he thought that would be awesome if I could join as well, because it would probably make it a lot easier. The 2 elves thought that it was a bad idea for me to join, because obviously they've never heard of me before. So I think they underestimated how good I am in a fight. And I thought, I need some adventure. It's been boring a couple of years, so and we're doing it for the king. So I think I will join, and I'll show them how a real adventurer handles himself.
What was the quest?
So, I mean, the mission was not much of a mission. It was more like a test. We later found out. But we had to retrieve some furs and the head of a brown bear, an owl bear, and a werebear. That we later found out was this Richard von Nash.
I see. So you were in fact sanctioned by the king himself to kill Richard von Nash.
Yes, we were. None of us knew who Richard was or his political stance at the time, so and I really had no opinion on the slave issue at that time. I'd been used to it. living with it my whole life. So even if I had known who Richard was, it probably wouldn't have changed much. We had a job and it was for the king and we were gonna do it. I have seen the king for what he is now, and if I'd known back then I probably wouldn't have done it. So on the way between Angel's Bliss to Fourway, we passed a sign that said plague. It looked old and we thought it's probably not valid anymore, so we took the chance and went through. We came by a pile of skeleton remains, and we kind of tried to get as far away from them as possible, and we assumed it wouldn't be affected. But we later found out that it had affected me, at least to some degree, and I would start getting a little bit sick at times, but not so severely that I couldn't continue. But anyways, we went on the quest and we ran into King Vash's nephew in Fourway.
I heard that the king's nephew did something to upset the king and was sent into exile.
Indeed. Have you heard what he did?
No, I have not.
Well, we came to Fourway and we stopped to have a rest, and we went to eat and sleep in the inn. The rumor was that they had a very famous stew there, and of course we're gonna have to try it.
And was it any good?
I would like to say no, but it was actually not bad. It was quite delicious.
Why do you say it like that?
Well, the town had some issues that we looked into to make some extra money. There had been people disappearing from Gnome Hill, obviously gnomes, and we found out that it was actually the people of Fourway Inn who had been kidnapping the gnomes, killing them and putting them in the stew. So we killed the butcher who owned the inn, and he had a helper who sadly got away. So we told King Vash's nephew, the general, about what had been going on, and he did not seem as shocked as you would expect him to. And then later we found out that one of his soldiers named Benno had actually told him before what was going on, and he had just been ignoring it. We had a long talk with the soldier, and he obviously did not like the general, and then he advised us to be careful around him because apparently he was a bit of a bastard. So the town of Fourway has a large standing army, and the general is controlling them. So his word is basically it in that town. He decides everything that's going on. But we kind of let it go. We got our money and we moved on.
So you did not find out what the general had done to provoke the king then?
Yes, we did, but for the sake of context, we will get back to that later. As I said, we were going on with our mission. We went north and to where we had been told Richard was, in Oak Village.
Ah yes, Oak Village. That's where he was when I had written to him. He almost got the entire village turned from being slavelings to becoming freelings. A task never heard of before in East Morrow. That is most likely why Vash wanted his head.
Yeah, he had tried to do that for some time. There were wanted posters and reward signs all over the place. They made him look like the beast he had become, and made a game out of getting him killed. No one knew or remembered him as a successful freeling, including us. King Vash had killed his name and reputation.
Well, we do. But tell me, did you find out how he became that beast?
In our search to find Richard, we went to his old estate that put a wall all around him, and his house was completely destroyed. And the house next to it, that turned out to be an old slave camp, had also been completely torn apart. We searched through the houses and we found skeleton remains. First we actually thought it was Richard, but we found it strange that if he was dead, why would there still be a hunt out for his head? After some more investigating, we found out that it was actually not Richard, but an assassin who had tried to kill Richard and failed. We found a letter on the assassin. It was in pretty bad shape, but while we were able to read, we could see that the assassin had been hired by a guy named Gregory. We then went straight to the innkeeper, who we knew was called Gregory, and we kicked the door in and accused him of murdering Richard von Nash. And apparently he had no idea what was going on, and we found out that he was not the only Gregory in town. There was a new slave trading place, and the owner was also named Gregory Vicker. So we stormed there and kicked the door in. We accused him of killing von Nash, and he apparently did not know anything about it either. And then we were like, oh, please stop the innocent act. Clearly you had something to lose to the freeling who broke your old slave trading place. It turned out this old slave trading place wasn't his, and he was actually new in town. We drilled him pretty good, but it was not him. Damn, the innkeeper must have lied to us. So we decided to go back and give him another visit. On our way, we came by a small magic shop called the Magic Herb. I had been feeling more sick from the plague we met earlier, and I thought I would go in and see if I can get something to sort it out. There was an old lady behind the desk by the name of Lillian Thorne. She was, creepy, and she took me out back and did some tricks on me, and I actually felt a lot better. We started talking about Richard. She was quite sure that he was not dead, which we had already figured out. But she told me about a third Gregory, and then things fell into place. Apparently the innkeeper had a son named Gregory Hunt Jr. The innkeeper just failed to mention that. What a bastard. So we paid Lillian and hurried on our way. She, for some reason, looked funny at the corns, and she bit into one of them, and it actually bent like copper. We were in shock. Like, what the? That damn General of Foray has given us that gold. He was gonna regret that. Of course, Lillian also got angry at us. We assured us that we had not swindled her on purpose, and we gave her some real gold, so she would not be mad and put a curse on us or something like that. We all agreed that we were gonna stop by Fourway on the way back and make the general pay. So we went to Gregory Hunt Jr., who was a tailor. This time we went it a bit more quietly, because apparently some people was looking for us after we broke down the door of the innkeeper. But we grabbed him and accused him of his attempt on killing Richard von Nash, and he admitted it right away. It was quite easy. But he assured us that he did not know of his state, and he had lost everything to the freeling. And we asked, what state? That he was a werebear? He said,
Yes, I swear, don't hurt me. I didn't know the assassin was a werebear. Richard never had showed signs of being a werebear before I sent the assassin after him. But I had to do something. He was destroying my business. It was only after I found out I had hired a cursed outcast assassin. No wonder he was so cheap. He didn't even manage to get the job done. Somehow Richard knew it was me. After the failed attempt, I heard a loud growl and smashing. He was destroying his own house, and mine was right next to his. I fled in fear to the guard's tower close at home. There I saw him smashing my house and my slave trade shop. All the halflings escaped into the wildleaf forest. Richard followed. He was bad for business before, but I was ruined now. But at least he did not kill me.
We were thinking of turning Gregory Hunt Jr. into the local guard, but since there was now a price on Richard's head, the assassination attempt was kind of void. He probably wouldn't get charge for it. So we left to continue our own hunt to find the wereberry in Wildleaf Forest. After about a day's trip, we came to a place familiar to Hatterai. It was his old training place from when he was a kid. It was a beautiful place. There were stone pillars, large and small. There was grass and trees all mingled together. There were some high platforms of stone on top of the pillars and old bridges covered in trees. But after a closer look among the high grass and plant life, it was clear there had been a fight here many years ago. There were still weapons and skeleton remains of soldiers lying on the ground among the grass. And some of the training areas was broken down. By the look of Hatterai, this place meant something to him. So we gave him a few minutes when
Hunter is talking to Thourgrim about what happened prior to them meeting in Bliss. But what Hunter did not witness when they were on the hunt for Richard von Nash in the Wildleaf Forest is what went on with Hatterai when he gave him a minute of peace in his old training grounds. Hatterai wandered for some minutes looking at skeleton remains of the ones who came here and took everything away from him and killed his master. His eyes started to tear up and he clutched his fist in anger. And suddenly he heard a man calling out to him. Hatterai? Is that you? Hatterai looked with surprise and noticed a familiar face. One he had not seen for a long time. Hatterai, I don't know if you remember me, but I was a dear friend of your master. We were in the same order before he hid here in the forest. Before the Mountain King had us all killed. Hatterai, I am all that is left. And I see your master would have been proud and happy to see that you made it out alive as well. But, Hatterai, I must be quick. I live in hiding. If anyone found out I was alive, they would have me killed. I have in all these years been trying to find a way to avenge the death of our order and to avenge your master, Hatterai, my dear friend, but it has seemed impossible until now, seeing you alive. Oh, this fills me with joy. Tell me, do you want to avenge your master as well? Hatterai nodded his head and said, more than anything. Good. Good, this is good. I have found means. I must be honest, Hatterai. I found out you were alive some time ago and have been watching you. Your master trained you good. If you keep it up, you will earn a name for yourself. And if luck finds us, you will get to meet the Mountain King. Then we can have some revenge. Hatterai's eyes became larger. The man said, I know what you're thinking, Hatterai. Killing the King of Kings in his own palace seems impossible, but I have found a way. So no one will see it coming, and no one will know who did it. Take this. And Hatterai is given a vial. It contains a poison designed to instantly kill the Mountain King. It is made specifically for him. I've been carrying it for a long time, because it is near impossible to get that close to him. But I have found a way. And he gives Hatterai a key. This, Hatterai, is a key to enter the tomb of Count Cristo di Vial. Inside, there is a vast amount of gold. But one thing more important, a ring, a magic item. It gives the bearer the ability to punch with a fiery force and give extra damage. But that is not what we're interested in. We want its true power hidden inside the ring. Inside it lies the power to stop time itself. Though for only a few seconds, it is all we will need. If you break the glass seal that hides its power, time itself will stop. Hadorai, you must get that ring. Earn your way into the Mountain King's halls, break the seal of the ring, and stop time. Then you walk up to the king and stick the needle side of the poison vial into the Mountain King, and return to your former place, and no one will know it was you. And we will finally have our revenge for the fall of our order, for the death of your master. As they speak, a raven flies over to his shoulder. Look, Hadorai, look for my raven. Then you know I am close. But there are things I must do. The plan is set in motion, and I will contact you again. For now, Hadorai, go back to your friends and continue your path. Earn a name for yourself. Go to the tomb of Cristo the Vile. Get the ring, and retribution will be ours. And then he left Hadorai, who got back to Victor and Hunter, who knew nothing of this meeting, when they were in the wildlife forest, in the hunt for Richard von Nash. Well, Hadorai, are you planning something? Anyway, guys, this is where we're going to stop this week's episode. We have reached the second of the third flashbacks in this series. Hunter is in Bliss talking to Thourgrim and telling him about what has happened before they arrived in Bliss. We're going to continue this segue next week, guys. Thank you for the day. Be sure to give us a review, leave a comment, tell us what you think, guys, and see you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks for stopping by.